So welcome back to Winners Talks. This is a little format from the ADCE to talk to winners from the 2020 ADCE Awards. We're here with Mihnea Gheorghiu from Publicis in Italy. Hello, Mihnea, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm very good. How are you? Thank you so much.
I'm very, very excited to have you here. I actually am a big fan of yours and of the agency, as you know. We've crossed paths in the past, most of the times on stage somewhere, and you actually were on stage, virtually on stage, for the ADCE. So I'm congratulating you as closely as I can and as distanced as I can for your win, gold for Diesel Hate Couture. Okay, we're talking about Hate Couture, which is a campaign that has won every award in the book. It is a campaign that has been loved a lot by creatives, but we're not talking about creativity that actually wins awards. We're talking also about creativity that actually does good for the client itself. So in general, talk to me about how you came up with Hate Couture in general, and then we'll talk about specifically about what the creative is.
This is crazy. I mean, I don't think it's because this campaign happened a long time ago, but we've done so many things since then. It feels like we've done it, a decade ago.
Yes, it is true, actually. I was in the jury in Cannes in 2019 when I saw it, and it won there too. So it's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. So actually, the brief started like any brief from Diesel. That's like a very free, right? It came straight from Renzo Rosso, who said, "I want to do a capsule collection with Madonna."
Nice.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So you were like, okay, we need an idea for this capsule collection with Madonna, and that needs to be Diesel. And Diesel has always we challenge conformity, right? Like, what's the conformity of doing a capsule collection, working with influencers, and let's challenge that. We don't do the regular, ooh, Madonna for Diesel, a kiss, a heart, and so on. And then, thank you very much, goodbye.
Yep.
So we looked a lot into Madonna's profile and what she meant for, for the social media back then. And we couldn't help but notice the huge wave of hate comments, right? So we thought, okay, I mean, this is very interesting. And, she was actually replying to a lot of those hate comments in her very typical style, like she doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So
I don't care what you say. This is who I am, and that's what's going to happen, right? Exactly like that, right?
And she would completely ignore and so on. And we thought, okay, this might be interesting as an idea. This might be very interesting for the consumers, right? For the people out there who we all know that online bullying, makes victims, and it's a very serious issue.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, what if Madonna's capsule collection was, made out of her worst hate comments that she received, and she would wear them with pride and so on. And then the campaign would go into customization. It would inspire people to, to do the same with Diesel pieces. So we presented that to Madonna. I think I still have the phone recording somewhere. We're all listening in. And she was like, yeah, this is great. Give me a few days to come back with a few of my ideas. So then she basically said, yeah, I love it. But what if we do a campaign in which you help me sell my new album? So with any connection whatsoever to Diesel, to our concept, and so on. And this is where you gotta love Diesel, because Renzo had the audacity to say no to Madonna. Said, okay, I love you. Let's work together on a different one. This is a different idea. It's very strong. This needs to live.
Fantastic.
From that moment on, this was happening somewhere in January 2018. This campaign took 9 full months to complete, from zero to air date.
Wow.
So from then, we started looking at influencers everywhere. We said, okay, if we cannot have somebody as big as Madonna, let's just have a lot of people, right? And then soon enough, we kind of landed on this very fancy, very well-known character, Nicki Minaj.
Yep.
who gets her own share of hate online.
Yep.
We talked to her. She was in. She loved
You said you actually you actually had a Freudian slip. You actually said shit. She gets a lot of shit, which is actually true. I mean, she does. Yeah.
And she really loved the campaign. What do you know? She was also launching her new album, but she said, okay, luckily one of her like Chun Li, I think the main song from the album,
Yeah.
was talking about online hate. Was
Fantastic.
talking, like it literally had a part like you go to your keyboards and you make me paint like I'm the bad guy and so on. And
That's
she was, I would like to have the bad guy on the thing. Well, like sure. And then we found, I think, 9 other influencers, celebrities from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we picked them based on, you know, the first of all, they needed to be in line with Diesel's attitude and and at the same time to be brilliant in their own category, but still make sure that they have a lot of hate coming to them. So we landed on Gucci Mane, where we found, and then we had to do a lot of digging to discover the best hate comments for each one. Because first we asked them, like, what's the most interesting hate comment you received, right? Gucci Mane was like, I think the weirdest thing is that people think I'm a clone and that I died in jail. Because when I went to jail, I was fat. And when I came out of jail, I was very like fit.
Yeah.
And people say that the real Gucci got killed in jail and I'm a clone. We went and searched and we found "Fuck You, Imposter." So that became his piece. Then Bella Thorne, I think she had the let me something like really like horror or something like that, because she was, you know, she's like singing, she's an actress, she's super talented, but she's like, I want to do something that represents, it's more than my persona, it's what all the girls you know, who like, you know, dress how they like, express themselves. And then there's the usual troll who comes, you're such a whore because you're showing, you know, more leg than usual.
Yeah.
So she picked that.
Did you have any celebrity who, like Madonna, after you've contacted them, because it seems like you researched the celebrities to have them actually be people that actually receive a lot of hate crime and also are fantastic in what they do, or have some sort of a geniality in whatever their world is, and then but you had to contact them to actually see whether they were available. Was there any celebrity that you can remember that actually, like Madonna, did not want to do it, or like somebody did not want to participate in the campaign?
Jumped right in. We looked at 100 people, then we made a short list with Diesel, and then we contacted, I think 10 or 11, and they all said yes.
Fantastic.
And different, they were like from influencers to models who were kind of doing some acting, actors, singers, you know, very public people. And they all picked, I think the hardest ones were Bella Thorne and what's his name? Jonathan, like from 13 Reasons Why.
Yes, the guy from 13 Reasons, yeah.
Who picked faggot because he's gay, and he's like, I think this is the best opportunity for me to actually, you know, share a bit of how I grew up and like being, nice. You know, ostracized for being gay. Fantastic. And I think this is a great way to, you know, and all the proceedings on those, on that part of the collection went, all of it 100% to an NGO he chose, supported LGBTQ, and so on. Like each one chose a completely different. Like we had Barbie Knox who chose fat because she's like a very successful and very proud, not overweight, but
extra size, right? Like it's she's an extra, yeah.
Exactly, and she's very proud about it, and she's like killing the stigma on this perfection. You need to look perfect on social media and all this stuff. She was again very excited to join. So yeah, we had this amazing group. And then all we needed was like a script, right? So we contacted the amazing director, Serbian, Jovan, from Stink. We really didn't have much time because of Nicki Minaj, who didn't want to fly to Kiev. We had to all go to LA, and everything had to happen really quickly. We had a song which we loved. Everything was shot actually, and the choreography made on one song, which was Jumping the Line from Harry Belafonte. And
Nice.
we filmed the entire film on Harry Belafonte.
Nice.
And then last day of the shoot, Harry Belafonte saw a bit of the storyboard and he saw "fuck you, imposter" and "faggot," and he's like,
no way, I'm gonna put my name.
and we were like, wait a minute. And the director wrote a letter to Harry Belafonte, who's 92 and lives in Florida. And he explained to him, like, listen, I'm Serbian, but I'm an American citizen. And all the amount of hate I've got. And like, he wrote this emotional letter and Harry Belafonte said, okay, I'm fine with it. But his agents were like, money. So they like asked 10 times more for the song than initially asked. So then we had to come up with a different song on what we shot. So
with the same pacing, probably, right? With some sort,
and everything. So this is where the talented guys from Scissor come in.
Yes.
Who probably did 150 songs, and then we landed on another song. But then again, they didn't want to give us the rights because of the language in the film. Eventually, like 2 weeks before the launch, like the official launch, right? Like this entire summer, there was no Ferragosto for us. Huh?
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we kept on doing songs and so on. We landed on this Marilyn Monroe song, and that had not one but 5 rights owners spread all over the world. Luckily, they all said yes because they understood the project. And then we recorded it from scratch. We did it to fit the images and everything. While in parallel, we were all doing the whole e-commerce, the whole customization in-store experiences and everything. Yeah. I mean, everybody who you see on those credits had an amazing and equal share of the campaign, because it wouldn't have been the same without each and every person on the credits.
I have a question about that, because I think it's actually very interesting what Diesel is doing, and it is very interesting that it's keeping its track. So you actually started this conversation by saying that it feels like a long time that since you did this campaign, because you've done so much, and the things that you've done throughout these months or years that have gone by are all within the same track, but always finding a new way to say the same thing and giving value to not being part of the people that actually follow the rules, right? That are conformed.
It's not about. So I don't think it's about saying fuck the rules. I think it's about, okay, these are the rules.
Yeah.
But we don't. It doesn't mean that we don't need to follow the rules, but we can make fun of them. There's always Diesel has started since the beginning, has been the alternative brand.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it was called Diesel, because in the 70s, diesel, like the gasoline, appeared, which was diesel was an alternative to gasoline.
It was different. Yeah. It was just another thing. Yeah.
That's why like it was an alternative to Levi's and so on. So everything we do is an alternative. So it's an alternative to conformity. So in this case,
fantastic.
What?
I think which is fantastic to me. I think one thing that is interesting to me is the fact that you have always found really beautiful extensions to actually get to your public, to have people embrace this, follow your own rules and don't adapt to just conformity, have conformity be whatever you think is conformity, right? How important is it that every campaign that you do actually has all these extensions, or does the campaign, the creative idea bring you to all those extensions? I mean, do you actually have a fit at the beginning, or does it come from the way you actually build the campaign? Do you know what I mean? It's like
no. It starts right from the beginning, because if you have an okay, decent idea, you cannot make it Diesel only through the execution. It's usually from the very first concept, the line, it should sound like something that no other brand in the world could do but Diesel. Yeah. And it's so anti-establishment, like it's so I don't know what's the word I'm looking for right now.
Anti-establishment is fine for now, I think.
Yeah, no, it's almost like it's very simple. It's never intellectual, you know. It's not some like ooh, trying to be, but it's really like it should make you feel afraid of what you're about to do, and that's how
Yeah.
you know something. If nobody is uncomfortable in the room, that's not a diesel idea.
Yeah.
The moment you
That's
said, "Fuck it, let's just take the worst hate words and put them on clothes," and people should just fucking wear that. We were all like, "Oh my god."
yeah,
Like, you know, it's a very simple thing, but it's so, you know, like anti-common behavior. Like nobody would like, it's like, yeah, but nobody would want to wear, you know, that. And I'm like, exactly. That's diesel.
that's diesel. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so that's how you know. And the moment you start on that down that road from the beginning, then it's easier to tune the execution. It's way harder to come up with an idea that is very advertising and then try to fuck it up from the execution because you'll end up with something that is, you know, trying too hard.
No, I think it's also interesting that it comes back to the brand. It comes back to the clothing. It comes back to the capsule collection. It comes back to the fact that people actually want to wear something that says faggot, right? Because it's part of a whole. The idea is much bigger, but it's also very grounded into what the brand is, right? It's not just the idea; it's the idea that you actually are wearing because it is actually a fashion brand, right? And it's interesting to me that it's that you can make the word whore wearable because the story behind it is interesting because people are wearing the story. They're wearing the brand as the story that is behind that collection, that idea, that brand name, blah blah blah. It's actually very very interesting to me. Um, so the campaign is launched, and because of the fact that it actually has so many specific ramifications, is it usually easy to actually see whether your campaigns are successful or not? I mean, data comes immediately, right?
Pretty much. I think 47% of the collection was sold out like before it hit the shelves.
Yeah.
Because we launched the campaign. We launched the campaign earlier, at least online. In Milan, for example, in the stores, it appeared a week later when Nicki Minaj came to Milan and we had an event in there. But we did it earlier to launch it in China.
Yes.
So by the time it hit Milan, it was only half of it left. So
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
and we're talking about 47% of a seasonal collection. That's over 100,000 garments.
Pieces, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
in comparison, Diesel
Yeah.
had 2,500 pieces.
Fantastic.
Okay, 2,500 pieces as opposed to 110,000. So half of it's like gone. So like people were buying them and then reselling them, you know, just
great.
especially with the Nicki Minaj merch.
Yes, yes.
Became official Nicki Minaj merch because she was also launching her album, so people were going crazy for it. Then the machines like broke down from the customization because they couldn't stitch enough messages and like people ordered. There were huge lines. I went to this event in New York to this fashion like street fashion fair. There was like Adidas launching something, Reebok launching something. There were like lines and stuff, but in Diesel you couldn't even tell it was a Diesel stand because you didn't see it because of the people. Everybody was like, please, let's just. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, the biggest, I was very nervous before we launched it. I remember I was sitting in the bar in front of my house, Mille Misture in Isola, with my team partner, and we're like, because we knew at 12 at night it would launch, because that was 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. in China. So the video was on, and we're like, let's wait for the first comment. Let's wait for because that's the moment when we could have like completely missed the mark. And the first comment was, "Wow, I have goosebumps. This is incredible." And we're like,
that's good. Yes.
The majority of people will see it the way you do. After all, hate is such a heavy subject, you know, and being Diesel, you always need to have a bit of humor and like, yeah, I don't care about it. So sometimes, you know, this tone of voice might not hit the right spot in certain people, you know, but thank God it works. Like,
No, it did work. And I think again, it's interesting that it's not only data of love for your love brand or hate for your love brand in this case also, but it's also, I think, it's data that comes from practical things. It's a fashion brand. The more you are successful, the more people are going to buy the clothes, right? It's like it's almost immediate. So especially if the brief was, I want to do a capsule collection for Madonna, which I think is a perfect brief, right?
yeah.
You talked about one of the things that the methodology of how you create a diesel ad, but is there a way you actually look for inspiration when you actually are going to think about a campaign?
I think strategy plays a very important role in here because we usually have like the diesel briefs are very open but very precise at the same time. And everything you do, you kind of like look for trends that people kind of had enough of, you know. For example, the way we did the next campaign after Hate Couture was be a follower, right? So we started making fun of influencers with Hate Couture, and then we ended with be a follower. So it's always like the planners came and like pinpointed certain trends and problems that are relevant for diesel. You know, obviously we're not going to talk about you know, the disappearing population of baboons in you know, tropical forest.
Yes,
exactly. So it's usually like areas of interest for diesel. So it's where fashion meets lifestyle.
Yep.
And I think part of diesel's success is that it's always made fun of fashion.
Yes.
Fashion tends to, even when they're trying to be ironic, they're still pretty fucking serious.
They're naughty. Yeah.
They're also, it looks like they're all looking at us from this ivory tower, you know? And Diesel is like, nah, fuck y'all. You know? So make fun of that. And I think that's how it kind of managed to get the love of everybody, because people from fashion, they're like, haha, that's funny, you know? And the rest of the people who are like, who think fashion people might become a bit too pretentious, they're like, that's great, you know? So
because if I use your example, you know, it always feels like fashion brands that try to be funny are like fashion brands that are up there, as you mentioned, right? And they feel like by being funny, they're coming down, but they're never at the level, right? Diesel feels like they're actually down here looking at the other fashion brands with the other people, right? So it feels like they're part of the whole chit chat. They're listening to the chit chat, which I think is interesting. I think it's also interesting the fact that you said something about the fact that when you actually approach a diesel ad, you have to go in the world of what would a fashion brand not do, right? How has a fashion brand never spoken before, right? So it's interesting that you have to take an approach which seems very advertising, right? Like, let's do something that somebody has never done before, but you're actually doing it as opposed to just talking about it, you know? So.
Yeah. So fashion is not funny. I think they're trying to be funny, or it's like funny, but you know, fashion is art. You know, I'm not going against that. You know, like they definitely have their meaning in the world and place, and like they're very inspiring for a lot of people.
Yep.
But they will never be funny because they will never be too specific about something. They will always leave things open, like, you know, like very vague concepts when you're like, you know, whereas advertising in diesel always has more meaning. So kind of make fun of that because we're still a fashion brand, but we have like a commentary on what's happening in society, but in a making fun of fashion way.
Yeah, there's an intelligence in that because it's very difficult to be a fashion brand, but also like make fun, quote unquote, of the fashion brand without sounding hypocritical, you know, because you still feel part of it. So it's actually very interesting. We have gotten to the last question, And actually, I'm going to ask you a question before I ask you the last question.
Sure. Half an hour.
And it's a question mostly about you in specifics, and you're going into the second cigarette, which is good. What has been your inspiration as a creative, becoming a creative? Like when you were a young creative, did you have mentors that helped you? Did you have ambitions that helped you get to where you are, since you are undoubtedly one of the top creatives in Europe, if not in the world or in the galaxy? In this galaxy?
I'm the best creative on the moon.
On the moon, exactly.
Probably best on Mars too.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be the one in the, I might be the best on Mars. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean that's interesting. For some reason I have this little story. It's a thing that I remember since I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
It was this ad that ran on Romanian television. It was for a window cleaning thing, like Ajax or something.
Yes.
It was with Snow White laying in her glass crystal casket, you know.
Yep.
And the casket was dirty, right? So one of the dwarfs comes and cleans the whole thing, you know. And then the prince comes. Snow White wakes up and then goes and like bangs the head and then like falls back down. And I remember my parents laughing their asses off and that, you know. And that's when the click happened in my mind. And like, oh, you can entertain people, you can give them like such a nice emotion in such a short time.
Yeah.
You know? And I've always been fascinated about like really short, interesting ways of entertaining somebody.
Yes.
And growing up, I mean, it's really strange because I was a scholar in business school, right? But then I said, okay, fuck this, I want to do advertising. Being a millennial and whatnot, you know, and I was like in 2005, I gotta follow my dreams, you know.
Exactly.
Ever since I entered Leo Burnett, once you enter advertising, you have access to all these amazing ads, right?
Yeah.
So I think there were a few ads that really struck a chord in me, and I was like, I can do even that type, not just humor. I can do like very deep, interesting pieces of art, basically. Yes. And I'm talking like I've always loved Guinness Dreamer.
I was going to say that Guinness ads are, yeah.
Like to me, I saw that and I was like, okay, fuck university, I'm going into advertising. And then in my first year, no, that was actually the previous year before, like 2004, was Honda Cog.
Yeah.
I watched that, and I'm from a family of engineers, and I was like, wow. Next year, I was in advertising, and Honda Hate Something, Change Something came up. And to me, that was, I said, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And this is the type of things, like if I'm going to continue doing this, I need to, get to that level.
Yeah, strive for that level. Yeah.
What I have to give up on. So to answer your question, I think it was a mix of, I love to entertain people.
Yes.
And then it was the determination, because being from a little country, post-communist, advertising had 10 years, was 10 years old, We didn't really have the resources. Now I think we've improved a lot.
Yes.
There's amazing creatives in Romania, but we're still struggling with resources and craft. So I kind of like the determination to like, I want to get better. I want to get better at craft. I want to understand why are those people making that great work and we don't. I think it's determination and curiosity. Because the rest of inspiration is literally life experience. Like you go to a bar, you get drunk next to some random guy in New York, you find incredible stories. Living life is inspiration every second. That I don't need to go through annuals of advertising.
I agree.
So yeah.
Which actually, I think you answered the question that I was going to ask you as the last question. The tip you would give to a young Mihnea growing up anywhere in this world, wanting to get into advertising, is you use two words: determination and curiosity. Are those the two words that you would give as a comment, as a tip?
I would totally. I mean, these ones will work. Determination, curiosity, I feel these are keywords. but not only for advertising. I feel for everything.
In general, yeah.
Like working a lot with juniors and hiring them and like teaching, you know, in Mihnea, in Miami Ad School and so on, I discovered that, you know, I think there is a bit of a rupture between what kids see and what they do when they have to do it. Because you see the final ad and you don't understand the amount of work and collaboration that gets into every single project.
Absolutely.
So kids enter advertising and they get very disappointed because it's not what Mad Men shows. You know, it's like some people having whiskey, smoking, and then they come up with something, and we cut to the commercial airing online and everybody loving it, and the guy wins a Clio. I'm like, come on, you know, this like this. You know,
it's not gonna happen. Yeah.
So I feel a lot of them are kind of being let down that, you know, they actually need to work, because like any other, like, you know, I'm sure Picasso was struggling, you know, creating art, because as a creative, you cannot be happy with what you're doing. You know, even Picasso was saying, what's your best piece of art? The next one. Right?
Yeah. And I agree with that, because I think the young students that come out that I meet, which are the same ones that you meet, that have this generation where they feel like they will choose something and they will arrive, and they I'm not going to say that they want to already be CEOs, but they feel like, you know, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to move and go somewhere else. I think the curiosity, which is a word that I always use, because everything is given to you, curiosity is actually something that I can't teach, but I can try and give as a value. You know, when I work with the young kids that I work with, but curiosity and determination, I think I would leave it at that, because I think there are two really, really good words to give to youngsters that are getting into this business, especially nowadays. So with this, Mihnea, I think we're done. It wasn't that difficult, was it?
No, but wait, we have more minutes, but I want to tell more to the I want to say more to the young generations. I think a lot of people
say
don't.
Something else.
So advertising is not anymore about, let's sell a pair of underwear. You know, yes. It's creating more than that. You know, you have a lot of possibilities, and you see a lot of advertising agencies that are doing feature-length films, series. They're working. I mean, last year is for the first time a brand won an Oscar. Right, the Dove with the short film, with the short animation film that actually came from a marketing agency and so on. I mean, how great is that?
Fantastic.
They need to understand that advertising is not, you know, like what's been told in history manual. That it is like you can literally use it to turn it into whatever you want it to be, and it's a great intersection of art. Like it's right. It's like a little bar at the intersection,
a little corner,
you know, marketing and business, you know. So this is it's a very strange mix. But if you are curious enough and you keep your eyes open and understand how things work very early on, even if you decide that you don't want to make 30 seconds or 1 minute or 6-second vertical stuff anymore, but it will help you be better in whatever else you want to pursue. You want to become a writer? Well, once you've written your book, you will know how to launch it, promote it, because advertising has taught you that. You want to become a musician, you're going to know exactly what emotion means, what you know, like how to reach your audience, how to organize a concert, and so on. You know, if you want to become a fucking cucumber sculptor, right? You're going to know how to make that, you know, first,
how did you know?
You know, like to show off your sculpted cucumbers.
Yes.
Because advertising has taught you that. But you just need to use advertising to learn all those things. Just because you're like for 2 years in there and you're just, man, I don't like it, this doesn't mean that you kind of understood how it works. Because
but you're talking about something that I think is very, very interesting. Two things you mentioned, which I think is interesting. One is, you didn't say it this way, but it's advertising today is not your 30-second ad anymore. It's not what you do for your television anymore. It's a vertical screen. It's maybe an award show. Maybe it's a short film. Maybe it's whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And when I talk about this, I say, look, you know, Ford versus Ferrari was not just a feature film, a Hollywood film. It was a huge ad for Ford, right? So it's that is the world of advertising today, which is amazing. The other thing that I think is very interesting is that you use the word, I wanted to entertain people, you said before, right? The concept of entertainment, I think, is very interesting today, because entertainment has become advertising and advertising has become entertainment in a lot of ways. So you can actually, yes, talk about a tampon and or a window cleaner or a fashion brand and still be entertaining, be shareable, be likable, be lovable, right? And it's very interesting that you live in a world that is very different from the way I got into advertising when I got into advertising. Cannes had seven categories when I actually started in the business, right? Now it's 28 categories, right? It's not just because of money, it's because of the fact that advertising has changed.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting world. I mean, we could talk about how crappy it is, but I'm not going to talk about how crappy it is because it's not crappy. It's actually very interesting because it's that corner that you talked about.
No, but it's I think it's very powerful. Just talking about crappy advertising. 99.8% of the world advertising is complete and utter shit.
Shit. Yes.
But 0.2% is good.
Yes.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
This industry still exists.
Absolutely.
So this already to me says everything. You know, like if just a little piece, like a bunch of like can inspire and can like, you know, get clients to say, I want like stuff like that. And then you get people like being more determined to try and do better, and producers and directors and so on. If 0.2% of an industry can do that, then I think it's pretty powerful, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Are you done? Are you done with giving tips to the youngsters?
I think I am. Yeah. Let's keep them for post-corona drinks.
I think so too. Yeah, I think we'll do post-corona drinks and talk about it more. Again, I can't really thank you enough for this chat. I am again a big fan of the Hate Couture.
On postponing, and I'm really sorry for that.
Don't worry about that. It's going to be fine, and it's fine. It was fine, and again, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Again, congratulations for the big win, and again, until next time. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, it's not me. It's everybody on the credits, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's true. Because you don't do you would never be able to do it on your own.
Do something great alone. Ever.
Exactly. Mihnea, grazie mille.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao, 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 ciao.
Ciao.